Every single day, the moment you walk through that door, you are either healing your dog or quietly breaking them. And the terrifying part is that most people doing the breaking believe with their whole heart that they are doing the opposite. They think the chaos and the squealing and the big dramatic greeting is love. They think their dog loves it too. But your dog has been sending you a signal every single time that you have never been taught to read. And once you understand what is actually happening inside your dog's body and brain in that moment, you will never be able to come home the same way again. Welcome to Dog Mind Unlocked. If you love your dog and want to truly understand what they are experiencing, not just what you hope they are experiencing, subscribe right now. We are here every week translating the science of the canine mind into something you can actually use. Let's get into it. 1. Picture the moment you come home. You have been gone for 8 hours. Your dog has been waiting. And the second that door opens, everything explodes. Your dog is spinning, leaping, crying, pawing, crashing into your legs. And you match it. You go high-pitched. You crouch down. You grab their face. You say, "Who's a good boy?" 17 times in a row in a voice that no longer resembles anything from your adult life. It feels mutual. It feels like pure joy. And part of it is. But here is what is happening beneath that joy that nobody ever told you. A study published in the journal Hormones and Behavior found that during high arousal social greetings in dogs, at cortisol levels, that is the primary stress hormone, spike sharply and measurably. Not the cortisol of a dog who is miserable, but the cortisol of a dog whose nervous system has been pushed into a state it was not designed to sustain repeatedly. The researchers noted that the body cannot distinguish between excitement stress and fear stress at the hormonal level. The chemistry is nearly identical. What your dog is experiencing in that frantic, overwhelming, overstimulated greeting is not calm joy. It is a physiological storm, and you are the one who keeps turning up the volume of that storm because it looks from the outside like love. That matters, because a dog who is repeatedly flooded with that level of arousal at the moment of reunion begins to associate your arrivals with instability, not comfort. Keep watching. Because point 2 is where this gets even more specific and more surprising. 2. Here is the misconception that sits underneath all of this. Most people believe that a more excited greeting means a happier dog. The logic feels obvious. The bigger the reaction, the more they missed you, the more they love you. But this is one of the most consistently misread signals in the entire human-dog relationship. Research from the University of Veterinary Medicine in Vienna examined how dogs responded to owners who greeted them calmly upon return versus owners who greeted them with high emotional intensity. The calm greeting group showed faster heart rate recovery to baseline, lower cortisol readings within 20 minutes of reunion, and this is the part that changes everything, greater levels of affiliative behavior, which means calm proximity seeking in the hours following the greeting. In plain language, the dogs whose owners came home quietly and calmly were actually more bonded in the hours afterward. The dogs whose owners came home with maximum drama were more activated, more restless, and less settled for longer. Your dog does not need you to perform your love for them. They need you to actually transmit it. And those are two completely different things. The dog who is spinning and leaping is not the dog who feels most secure. That dog is often the one who has learned through repetition that arrivals are emotionally chaotic, and chaos, even exciting chaos, is not the same as safety. Stay with me. Because point 3 explains why your dog's brain is actually hardwired to pick up on your emotional state before you even open the door. and what that means for everything that happens next. 3. Your dog knows you're coming home before you arrive. This is not a sentimental idea. It is documented behavior with a plausible biological explanation that is still being studied, and it begins with something far more powerful than hearing your car. A dog's olfactory system contains approximately 300 million scent receptors, compared to roughly 6 million in a human nose. Their brain devotes roughly 40 times more neural real estate to processing smell than ours does. But more relevant to what happens at your front door is this. Dogs can detect shifts in airborne chemical signals associated with human emotional states. A research from the University of Naples, Federico II, published in Animal Cognition, found that dogs exposed to the human body odor of fear and happiness showed significantly different behavioral and physiological responses, and they did so without any visual or auditory cues from the person at all. Just the scent. This means that when you come home stressed, your dog smells the stress before they see your face. When you come home anxious about the day, they already know. And when you burst through the door at maximum emotional volume, excited, loud, breathless, they are not just reacting to your behavior. They are absorbing your chemistry. Your dog does not just mirror your energy. They are flooded by it at the biological level, in the same way you would be flooded if someone ran into a quiet room and screamed. But the body reacts before the mind can process. And your dog's body reacts to you before you say a single word. This is why the transition moment, the moment you cross that threshold, carries a weight most people never assign to it. You are not just walking into a room, you are introducing a neurochemical event into your dog's body. Point 4 is where we go even deeper into what your dog is actually trying to communicate during that greeting, and it is not what you think. 4. Watch your dog the next time you come home, not with the excited, matching energy you usually bring. Watch them the way a researcher would. What you will notice, if you slow it down, is that your dog is not simply expressing joy randomly. They are doing something very specific. They are trying to get information. They are sniffing your hands, your shoes, your legs. They are reading where you have been, who you touched, what you ate, what you encountered. And if you keep moving, keep talking, keep flooding them with stimulation, you are actually interrupting the very behavior they are most driven to complete. Research published in Applied Animal Behavior Science found that dogs allowed to complete a thorough olfactory investigation of a returning owner before any vocal or physical greeting was initiated showed significantly lower arousal scores and settled into rest behavior approximately 30% faster than dogs whose sniffing was interrupted by owner-initiated petting or vocalization. What your dog wants when you walk through that door is not the big greeting. What they want first is to read you. They want to know where you have been. They want to understand the chemical story of your day, and the moment you crouch down and start speaking to them in a high-pitched voice and grabbing their face, you are closing the book before they have finished the first chapter. Let them read you. Stand still. Let them work through it. You will notice the moment they are done. They will either sit, look up at you, or shift into relaxed body language. That is the moment the real greeting can begin. And the greeting that comes after that pause is quieter, deeper, and more genuinely connecting than anything that happens in the chaos. That said, point 5 is the part of this that most dog owners find the hardest to hear, because it requires looking at something they did not intend to create. 5. Here is the hardest truth in all of this. The big dramatic homecoming greeting is not for your dog. It is for you. Sit with that for a moment. You have been at work. You have been in meetings, in traffic, in stress. You have spent 8 hours in a world that largely does not express uncomplicated love at you the moment you walk into a room. And then you come home, and there is this creature, this animal who has waited for you specifically, who has oriented their entire day around the moment of your return and the emotional release of that. That is real. That matters. That is one of the genuinely profound things about sharing your life with a dog. But the way you've been discharging that emotion, by matching the frenzy, by escalating the arousal, by making it mutual and loud and big, that ritual has been designed around what you need in that moment, not what your dog needs. Our researchers at Eötvös Loránd University in Budapest, who have produced some of the most rigorous work on dog-human attachment in the world, have repeatedly demonstrated that dogs have a secure attachment to their owners that closely parallels the attachment human infants form with caregivers. And one of the core findings in attachment research, both in dogs and in developmental psychology, is this. What a securely attached individual needs from their caregiver at reunion is not high energy performance. It is presence. Calm, available, consistent presence. The infant does not need the parent to scream and run across the room. The infant needs the parent to be there, to be steady, and to make the world feel safe again after the separation. Your dog needs exactly the same thing. And the most loving thing you can do in that moment, the thing that actually meets their need instead of your own, is to come home quietly. 6. So what does a healthy homecoming actually look like? Because this is where the science stops being abstract and starts being something you can do tomorrow. And the answer is simpler than almost anything else in dog training, which is part of why it is so consistently underestimated. You walk in the door, you do not immediately make eye contact. You do not immediately speak. You put your things down. You move through your normal re-entry routine, hang your keys, set your bag down, take off your shoes for 30 to 60 seconds without drama. What you will notice is that your dog, initially frustrated by the lack of their expected trigger, will begin to settle. The spinning slows, or the jumping decreases. The pitch of any vocalizing drops. And then, when your dog is at a lower arousal level, you crouch down or sit, you speak quietly, you let them come to you fully, and investigate as long as they need. Veterinary behaviorists at the American College of Veterinary Behaviorists have recommended this exact approach for dogs showing reunion anxiety and separation-related behaviors. The protocol is not about withholding affection. It is about sequencing it correctly. The affection is not removed. The warmth is not diminished. What is removed is the chaos that surrounds it. And what remains, once the chaos is gone, is something much more honest. You will feel the difference in your dog's body when you hold them after a calm greeting. They are not stiff and activated. They are heavy and present. That is a dog who has been met, not stimulated, and it is a completely different experience for both of you. Point 7 is where we talk about what this does over time, because the effects of consistently chaotic homecomings are not just momentary, they accumulate. 7. Every experience your dog has is being used to predict the next one. This is not a poetic idea. This is how the canine brain works at the neurological level. Research on canine learning and fear, memory published in Learning and Memory, has shown that dogs form strong associative memories around high arousal events, meaning the more emotionally intense an experience is, the more deeply it is encoded. This is why a dog who had one terrifying encounter with a specific stimulus can carry that fear for years. But the same mechanism works in the other direction. When arrivals are consistently chaotic and overstimulating, your dog does not just experience that chaos once. They begin to anticipate it. Their nervous system begins revving before you even open the door. The arousal starts earlier. The cycle deepens. This is one of the primary drivers behind what we now call separation-related behaviors. The destruction, the vocalization, the pacing that many dog owners attribute entirely to the absence of the owner. And while the absence itself is genuinely difficult for many dogs, research increasingly points to the reunion as a significant amplifying factor. A dog who has learned that arrivals are emotionally enormous will spend the hours before your return in a state of building anticipation that borders on anxiety. Because enormous things, even good enormous things, are hard to wait for calmly. Compare this to a dog whose owner has consistently come home quietly, whose reunions have been warm but regulated. That dog often rests until the very moment of arrival. The nervous system does not need to brace. There is nothing to brace for. There is only a person who will walk in, who is safe, who will be there. 8. There is one more behaviour that happens at homecomings that almost no one talks about, and it is the one that might change how you read your dog's greeting more than anything else in this video. Some dogs, when their owner comes home, do not rush to the door. They come slowly. They might stretch first. They might wag low rather than high. They might press their body against your legs rather than jump. And almost every owner of a dog like this at some point has wondered whether their dog is not that excited to see them, whether their dog is less attached, whether something is wrong. Nothing is wrong. That dog is communicating something extraordinary. Research on canine greeting behaviour and attachment style, drawing from work at the Clever Dog Lab in Vienna, found that dogs who demonstrate lower intensity but sustained proximity-seeking behaviour at reunion showed the highest levels of secure attachment on standardised behavioural assessments. The dog who presses into your legs and stays there is not performing less love. That dog is expressing something that has no performance in it at all. That is a dog whose system does not spike at your arrival because your arrival has never been a source of instability. That is a dog who knows in their bones that you will be there, and so they do not need to spike. They can simply come to you, slowly, steadily, completely. That low, steady tail wag, that full body lean, that sigh when they finally settle beside you. That is not a dog with less love. That is a dog with more security than most dogs ever get to feel. And that brings us to the place this whole conversation has been moving toward. 9. Think about what you're actually doing when you come home. Not the habit of it, not the ritual. Think about what your dog has done while you were gone. They have waited. They have oriented their day around a sound, your car, your footstep, the specific pattern of your key in the lock. That signals the one thing they were waiting for. That signal, to them, is not just a trigger for excitement. It is, Juanita, at the deepest level of what dogs are and what they evolved to be, the signal that the pack is whole again, that the person they have attached to, the one who, in the terms of their biology, represents safety itself, has returned. And all they are asking in that moment is to be met calmly enough to actually feel it, not to be flooded past the point of feeling, not to be launched into a state so high that the actual experience of reunion gets lost in the noise of it. They want to feel you arrive. They want their nervous system to register, safe, here, present, whole. The moment you begin coming home that way, quietly, steadily, warmly, without the performance, you will notice something shift in your dog within a few days. They will still come to the door. They will still be glad. But there will be something underneath the gladness that was not there before. A depth, a settledness, a quality of presence in your dog's greeting that only appears when a dog does not need to perform the reunion because they trust that the reunion is already enough. That is what security feels like in a dog's body. You will recognize it the first time you feel it. The weight of them leaning into you, calm, unhurried, completely there. That is not a dog tolerating your arrival. That is a dog who has arrived too. That is trust made physical. That is your dog showing you what love actually looks like when it is not trying to prove itself. You will never be able to walk through that door the same way again. If this video changed the way you see your dog and the way you see yourself walking back into their life every single day, share it with someone who loves their dog and deserves to know this. Subscribe to Dog Mind Unlocked. We are here every week helping you understand the animal that chose to spend their one life with you.